thank you once again for joining me on today's urgency meeting, today's journey into and through resilience. The topic today was inspired by something I mentioned in other episodes, the lesson that my son gave me about loving everyone. Was foreign to me until he just gave me that guidance and then walked away. He's like, wow, that's a lot for me to take in and not disagree with, to understand and appreciate and then put into practice. But that's one thing. I'm definitely on the path of understanding loving everyone. I'm getting closer. But the next thing was this thing about trust. So we're talking about trust today, and give you some background. Typically, I tended to trust automatically. If I didn't know you, you're a brand new person, you're a stranger in public, I typically just trusted 100% at the beginning. But the question has come up in the past couple months, do you trust 100% or 0%? Particularly with someone you don't know yet. Or is that your level of trust somewhere between that 0 and 100%? But also, that trust thing, do you earn it? Do you lose it? But what does it take to invest in this thing called trust? I'm offering you just at the top of my head, maybe a few things, 4 or 5 things that might be necessary to invest in trust. We'll get into the level of trust at the end of this discussion. But maybe these areas are things to consider before you even invest in trust. Respect, courtesy, integrity, loyalty. Maybe as a bonus here, throw in my suggested 8 pillars of friend. Those are optional, but maybe those can be objectives as well in this thing called trust. So those brief areas could serve as initial suggestions or components of what it would take to build trust. As I mentioned in other episodes, my African elder, my brother, Tamba, and my son, Karan, they have both a similar opinion on trust. They both told me separate conversations, they both said, trust no one. Which surprised me because both of them were open and positive on loving everyone, but next breath was trust no one. That is and was and still is a new lesson for me. Now, I have provided an outline or context on this thing called trust. And whether you trust no one or start at 100% like I used to, or 100% or somewhere in between, the other issue is this. What about you and trust? Do you trust yourself? Let's come back and then forward on that. Maybe consider going forward with the infrastructure, the foundation of you, the essence of you, the substance of your love. Yes, the blood relevance again. You would not want to taint or corrupt your blood or love, would you? Intentionally, not unintentionally, right? Well, if that's true, then let the birth of trust slowly grow from 0 towards a positive perspective or negative, depending upon what drives you. Simply put, does what drive you fall on the positive or negative side of the ledger? So maybe you want to think about having trust on top of the love, meaning that the trust would be on the outer realm, outer shell of love, not the other way, not having trust instead of or in front of your love. Does that make sense to you? Think about love as the constant infrastructure of you. Maybe that raw pearl in that shell of you that's protected. But then the outer shell on top of your love is a thing called trust that you're building. So look at it that way. Keep that analogy in mind. The formation and foundation comes from and returns to positive once you're done with the effort. Consider that as a metric for trust going forward. That's for yourself first and then for others. So starting at 0 on the trust meter, consider it also with a 24-hour timer and has an automatic reset if and when you get a new day. But remember, I'm asking you to be focused on this present moment, maybe this present day that we're in right now, but don't expect that there's going to be another refresh. But for now, consider putting that 24-hour timer on this moment and this day. Each day, each moment is new. The good or bad sauce that you place on it is just additive. You don't need it. The trust thing and the underlying love substance, the underlying love constant is perfect before you start adding stuff to it unnecessarily. Even adding too much stuff to a roux, a soup, can jack up the original flavor balance. Maybe maintaining trust at 0 is a good place to start and then to return to it at the end of the day, at the end of this moment, for example. Applying some of those example components I mentioned earlier, and for now, as you decide on something, someone going forward, like your trust in me and in the 500 seconds that we just spent together. Was it good for you? Did I garner any trust in you from me today? Did you reset your own trust on yourself today? Something to think about. Trust no one for very long is okay. But maybe trust at 0 is the best baseline to work with. As a quick summary, remember this new metric or perspective, trusting at 0. You have this one moment, this one day, that 24-hour timer. That's what you have to work with. You build positively on trust, negatively on trust. Someone outside of you, someone called you on the same subject called trust. Stay present. Stay current. No matter where you are in this world, tell a friend, hell, tell a foe. It's always 8:20.